Ford Bronco prices in 2024 are dropping, and we're going to talk about why.
I disagree with that. I think they're just maybe coming back to reality.
Welcome back to the Broncast podcast, all about the Ford Bronco. Today's a little bit unique because we should have been out at Ford Fest ripping around the course, but it's raining, and old Miss Helen, Hurricane Helen, changed our plans. So today we're doing a little different of a podcast. We're throwing back. We're going to catch up for a little bit. And then we're going to, maybe do a little parts corner and then talk about Bronco values in 2024.
Let's do all the Broncos, Gen 1 through Gen 6. Building Broncos, playing around with chassis. I got all kinds of chassis ideas. So,
chassis.
Yeah, chassis, frames.
Nice.
Start with the frame. But yeah, I've been basically just building bodies, trying to assemble. I've got 2 trucks we're trying to complete. So, we can talk about that too in another episode, maybe our builds.
Yeah.
How about you?
I was shooting for the show Build for Offroad, Ian Johnson's show, and we took like a couple of his trucks out and just went wheeling for a couple days, and it was going to be beautiful. Like it was going to be great wheeling trip. And it rained and rained and rained. And so, yeah, I've been wet for the last 2 days, like sopping, water squishing in my shoes. And it is pretty miserable. 10-hour days out holding a, 15-pound camera, walking around.
A soaking wet camera.
Hiking in the wet. But man, I have been super busy with I have a video production company. That's what I do full time. It's been one of the busiest years that I've ever had, which is great when you work for yourself to have a busy year, because that means you've got money coming in to build a Bronco. So I appreciate that. But yeah, I've been out to the West Coast 9 times this year, on different shoots, different stuff. LA, Seattle, Oregon, even I consider West Utah.
Colorado?
I've been to Colorado. I didn't consider that one. Yeah, that would have been 10. But I did go to Super Celebration West in Colorado. And I actually filmed for Bronco Nation. Went to Woodward with Bronco Nation as well.
Detroit.
Yep. And did the Woodward Dream Cruise. A lot of cool cars, a lot of cool stuff to see. Tons of Broncos there. Couple old Broncos. I actually met for the first time. I had never met him before. Jeff from Jeff's Bronco Graveyard.
The founder.
Yeah. He was there. He had like a first gen, like he bought it from the original owner. Nothing has been done to it. And this thing was perfect. I mean, I think the only thing they did was like changed out a couple, couple wires here and there. Like, no body work,
Change
original paint, original seats. Yeah. Oh, I forgot to tell you this. I'm going with Bronco Nation again. I'm going to the Bronco Off-Rodeo in Townsend in 2 weeks.
For everyone that doesn't know this, the Bronco Nation has added a Bronco Rodeo in Tennessee.
Yeah.
East Tennessee.
Or Ford has added the Bronco Off-Rodeo. I mean, I haven't been there yet, so I don't know what to expect. There's a couple videos about it already for people who've actually been there already, but it officially opens October 4th, and then I'm going out October 7th. I've been to the Off-Rodeo in Texas, and that's probably one of my favorites. Like, it's beautiful, really cool experience. I've been out there 3 times, I think. And so, yeah, it'll be cool to go to a different off-rodeo.
Not your first rodeo.
Hey-yo. So before we get into the content, I found this little nugget, and I thought, we got to talk about this. They're talking about a Mustang Raptor.
What are you talking about? What does that mean? You like mixing 2 things. What does that mean?
So Car and Driver has this. I don't know if it's true or not, but it says 2026 Ford Mustang Raptor. And it looks like...
I got it.
I mean, that's got to be like an illustration or like an AI image. I don't know.
But who's the guy that's got the Porsche that's off-road, the 911? That's kind of what we're looking at here, right?
Yeah, very, what is it? The car rally kind of style. So this is Car and Driver speculating. They said what's likely a 700 horsepower 5.2 liter V8. which would be
Is it all-wheel drive, four-wheel drive?
Supercharger. Yeah, I don't know.
I mean, I do like the Paris-Dakar rally cars, like where they're literally, lifted skid plates and lights.
Yes. I mean, this thing would be pretty amazing. $90,000 to $100,000. So that's all the information that they had on here. And I didn't do any research to find out if they had more to talk about. But dude, how crazy would it be if they came out with a Mustang Raptor?
Yeah, that's cool. It does look like a rally car, but they've got all this Raptor product. They've got engines, axles, drive lines.
Right.
Why not?
I wonder what they would have to do to beef up the drivetrain in a Mustang. When you're beefing up like an F-150 or a Bronco, like it's already beefy. Like it's built for taking it off road.
The budget version of this is called Hoopty X.
Yes. Yeah. Which,
it's a Crown Vic lifted with off-road tires and a light bar.
I mean, but I wonder, like, would they keep it unibody? Or would they do like an actual frame? Or
have to have frame.
They're speculating a supercharged V8, probably, Fox shocks and coilovers.
Go to Car and Driver if you want to see the picture.
Yeah, we'll put a link in the description where you can check it out. Do some of your own research as well. Okay, and when it comes out, we'll have to do a side-by-side comparison.
Oh, yeah.
Raptor versus Raptor.
That's right. Hey, I want to do a throwback to episode 1, season 1, and all that. When we were doing, we did catching up. We did news.
Right.
So we kind of covered that with the Raptor. And we haven't done Parts Corner.
Yeah.
So I want to do Parts Corner because it seems like that's all I do every day is our parts. But, so do you have a part?
Yeah. So I haven't worked on my Bronco for months, either of them. Like my poor wrecked bumper Bronco is still in my garage. And then my restoration is sitting over in the other building. When I went to the Tom's Off-Road event, I briefly talked about the Tom's Off-Road diamond stitch seats. So if you're not familiar with those, like Tom's Off-Road has their own line of seats for the first generation Bronco, and I have those in my truck, but they just come with the normal back, like in
vertical stripes.
Yeah, it's just the normal stripes. And they just came out with a diamond stitch.
I have a set right there. Oh my gosh.
Our sponsor for today is Tom's Off-Road. Tom's Off-Road has wonderful seats. And they're just extremely comfortable to rest your rump. So these are actually diamond stitch. I've put a seat on a seat and it is wonderful. This is the diamond stitch seat that now you can't see because my body is on it. But it is wonderful. Tom's Off-Road has them on their website, premium walnut diamond stitch seats, front and rear for $17.95. And they have free shipping on them.
That includes the shipping from Oregon to wherever you live.
Wherever you live. And they are amazing.
And they come in 4 colors. So they've got black, walnut brown, deer skin, which is like a caramely tan, and apparently they got parchment. I bet you diamonds and parchment will be cool. I've got a couple of parts in my parts corner. One is, and I've been installing this on every Bronco, and it's the firewall installation kit.
Oh yeah.
Which is a real pain in the butt to install, but it looks so nice and it cuts so much noise out. There's a thick layer of heat insulation that's like wool with 2 layers of like aluminum or something. And then you've got the ABS plastic piece that's sort of shaped and molded around the tub. It goes up sort of above your feet. And it also has insulation on it. The problem with installing them is you need a lot of longer bolts because all the parts you get, your foot pedals and everything else, the bolts are not, there isn't an extra ½ inch in there, 1/4 inch, but the insulation's worth all the trouble in my opinion.
Having some kind of insulation on your early Bronco right there is so nice. And then finding something to put over the tunnel cover, like over the transmission. Yeah. Because that gets so hot, and especially in the summer.
Well, this has the black ABS that's kind of textured, and it takes 2 people to reinstall the airbox, the lower motor box. Those studs are already on there. So one guy's pushing and the other guy's trying to thread the nut on the backside, but it'll go. So
you know from experience.
I've done 3 now. I'm about to do a 4th one, but I really like that product.
That's awesome. Bronco values in 2024. So, we've been hearing stuff about Bronco values coming down. Everything's kind of looking that way. I went to a website called cargurus.com. They said the average price of a used Ford Bronco in 2024.
Wait, which generation?
6th gen.
Sixth
gen used Bronco in 2024 has dropped 14% from 2023. So I don't know if that is just
that
normal,
including over list that they were getting, or it's kind of confusing. I would kind of like to look at all of the Bronco values, like Gen 1, full size, and then that. But even within Gen 1, I feel like there's groups. There's the $250,000 Bronco.
Right.
There's the knockoffs.
Yeah.
100 to 200,000 people that are trying to make them that nice. And then there's, the drivers.
Right.
And then there's just trying to buy a Bronco to build for the VIN. And so I kind of got them broken up into 4 groups. I feel like the $250,000 Broncos, there's an issue here. And that is that people are buying these and they're buying them without ever having driven an old Bronco.
Totally.
And the expectation is, well, it's going to be amazing.
Yeah. It's going to drive like a Mercedes.
Yeah. Like this is twice as much as my new car, or 3 times. I had a guy come and drive one of the Broncos I'm selling, the white one. I thought we were going to go off the road. I think he scared me. I'm hard to scare. And I know it scared the shit out of him because I haven't heard from him since. But it's just like, well, that's what 1972 drives like. It's not a G-Wagon.
Right.
But that's kind of what they group it with. So those values, I'm seeing a lot of people selling those for like 175 and less after they paid 250.
Yeah.
And you see them running through the auctions and stuff, and it says whoever built it, top 6 builders. And I think that realization of this was a cool idea. They're like, what do you mean I can't drive 70 miles an hour?
Right.
It's like, well, you can, but not much
Hold on.
more.
Yeah. Even in that upper price range, I'm seeing less of those $250,000 Broncos around. I'm not seeing as many icons. I think Gateway is still out there a lot. They're still doing a bunch, and even their price has gone up. I know Classic Ford Broncos is still pumping out Broncos, but it just seems like people are looking for other options, like what is going to be next? What's the next hot thing? Like the Ford Bronco, 1st gen Ford Bronco has been the hot thing for so long. 20 years ago when the old Land Cruisers and the old FJ40s and stuff like that were super popular. And now those have all come down. You can
and Defenders.
Yeah. I think the high end is coming down. And then what'd you call the knockoff? Like that I would put myself in the knockoff category. I'm building a knockoff.
Yeah. And I'll be honest, I'm going to call mine a knockoff. It's a wannabe.
Yeah.
I want it to be worth 250, but I'm going to be good with 165.
165? There you go, people. 165 can buy Donnie's Panama Bronco. Price range for mine, I think I would be ecstatic with 150.
The boxwood green one you're building.
The one that I'm building. My plan is to take it at the auction block, but if someone called me and was like, hey, I'll write you a check for 150, I'd be like, deal. Yes.
Well, and I don't take offense to it being a knockoff. I mean, if you don't have a big name, and I didn't stick a Coyote in it, but you don't need a Coyote. It'll scare you without a Coyote. I mean, they're we've already had ours 75 miles an hour, and it's just like, it's a handful. Like 70, you're driving the thing like NASCAR at 75 miles an hour, 70 miles an hour. You got both hands on the wheel. Yeah. You're kind of white knuckling it.
Yep.
But that's 1972.
Now, would you say that price range is coming down as well? I think
it is.
Yeah. Yeah. I would say so too.
So we're going to break this into 4 groups, the really high end stuff, the knockoffs, and then you've got your drivers.
Right.
Which is, I'm going to put that range at anywhere from 30,000 to 80,000, somewhere in there.
Yeah. But even with that, I feel like we're seeing less of the drivers in that 80,000 range. A year ago, 2 years ago, 80,000 for a driver, like a nice, not restoration, but just a nice driver was happening, high end. And I think it would be silly to get that. But like now I'm not even seeing that pop up anymore. It's the 30 to 50,000 and maybe even 30 to 40,000. Like I feel like it's come down that much. I see
a lot of trucks in that seems like the 30 to 50 range.
Mm-hmm.
And, they're questionable. Some of them can be great vehicles and some of them can be just, they're just painted to look, they're shined up, spit shine, and they're hoping that you'll give them 30 grand for it. And it's to me, it's not worth it because you're rebuilding the whole truck. So, but now I'm buying trucks I can build. I need a VIN, I need a chassis, and then everything else is rebuilt. So those were 3, 4, 5 grand. Those have gone up. They're now 8 to 12, $8,000, and you can't really use anything. You can rebuild the whole thing, but I feel like that's still creeping up.
I feel like that lowest price range is really expensive, but what has happened is like we've kind of gotten to the point where we've used up our resources, natural resources of Broncos left. And you either have a fairly nice driver or like, then there's this huge drop off and then you have like a Bronco that is nothing on it is usable. Like you can't use the engine because cylinders 4 and 8 are rusted out. You can't use the transmission because,
it's a 3-speed.
Yeah. You can't use any body panel because it has rust on it all. All the fabric inside, everything inside is trashed. So all you can use from it is the frame. And then you can rebuild and powder coat the axles, but you could just go buy for that price. You could buy a brand new axle from Tom's Offroad for $2,000. I feel like we've gotten to the point where everyone used to buy these, kind of beaters out in the field and be able to use 50% of the truck to rebuild their truck. And now the beaters in the field are worthless and you can buy everything brand new for a fraction of the cost. And is it the same quality? Maybe not, but that it's new and that it fits and you don't have to spend 20 hours, just trying to get the water out of the, transmission fluid.
What it costs to get into a Bronco has continued to stay strong.
Yeah.
The parts trucks have gone up, but the rest of the values for sure, the higher end stuff's coming down.
I think so. I think what we're seeing is a lot of the people who were willing to spend 300, 400,000 for a Bronco have them. And now they're moving on to something else. And so those aren't selling for as much. So those have come down. And then the people who are like, oh yeah, I'd spend 150 to 200 are like, oh, you're telling me I could build this for, how much less? And so they're just trying to get it themselves, which is still jacking up the
low end.
The low end.
Yeah.
Because they're just stealing all the bottom end Broncos and trying to make something great out of it.
And so that's kind of like Gen 1. We always like to stay on top of that.
Yeah.
And then Gen 6 has a whole other thing going on. But in between the Gen 2 to Gen 5, I feel like the Gen 2, the 78, 79 or Bigfoot looking front ends, those things are still on the rise.
Agreed.
And we were looking at one that it was a 78 freestyle graphics, a little rusty, and those are like $5-6 grand now, $6-7 grand, and they need completely rebuilt. So I feel like the 78, 79s are sort of catching up to the early Broncos on what a starter costs to build.
I feel like the 78, 79s across the board are still on the rise.
Yeah.
I don't think they'll ever hit the level that the first gen hit. I think people are hoping that they will. Like they're hoping that you can sell them for 250,000. And some people are out there trying to do it. I don't think there's as much of a market as there was for the first gen. I mean, we're seeing the second gen up in the 50,000s for a nice one. I think it's worth it. 50 to 80,000, for a nice restored one. This is one that I found on Facebook Marketplace that.
Yeah, that's it. Blue and white.
Yeah. And it's a 78 out of North Carolina for $6,500, 4x4, 351 automatic transmission. I love it when people say truck is solid. Like, yeah, sure it is. But we've got a little bit of rust on the rear, quarter. Paint is fading. There's not a ton of pictures on it, so I can't see the quality of the engine, but we can see that the grill is missing a bunch of stuff. Yeah, so there's a shot of the rusted quarters.
And we looked at another one that was 6,500, and these are both trucks that have been sitting for 10 years or longer. And again, starters, so those are definitely coming up. And then I did have a friend that was selling a Gen 5 that was like 49,000 miles, and he only got like 24 grand for it.
Yeah.
I felt like that truck should have brought 26, 28,000, but because it was brand new inside and out and it was original.
Yeah.
It was gorgeous. But, so that's kind of like the range, unless you've got a chromatic with those crazy stripes, you're not going to break 50 grand.
Gen 1 through 5, like everything is coming down except the second gen.
Yeah.
Like across the board. I mean, and I think it is, still hard to find a good Bronco in a field for cheap that is usable. Anything's usable on it. Just the popularity and the hotness of the Bronco is coming down. Now, do we see that though with the 6th gen?
Yeah, actually, I went to the Ford dealer yesterday to try and buy an interior door clip, which of course they don't have for an early Bronco. The guys looked at me like, we don't have anything in here earlier than 98 for parts. I'm like, well, we see if the 98 was the same. He just looked at me like, go away.
Yeah.
They had 12 brand new Broncos lined up across the front of the showroom. So they are selling Broncos, and they had 2 Raptors.
Wow.
And they had one more inside. That was in the front of the building. So we know they've got inventory now.
Yeah. You're hearing stuff of like, oh, the Bronco, it's just not, not selling as well. I don't think that is the case, but I think the people that wanted a Bronco, they've bought it. There was just such a crazy demand when it came out. You couldn't find it anywhere. And so people were marking them up like crazy. The dealership was way overcharging for them. So I think the frenzy part of it is gone.
The dealer's getting 10 and 30 over list for a Raptor. Yeah. Mark and I were looking the other day, and there were some Raptors for under 80, which is getting right down to dealer retail now. There is a difference right now between 2 doors and 4 doors. Even though 20% of what they make are 2 doors, they aren't necessarily in as much demand as a 4 door.
Well, I think the 2 door, I think people are realizing like, oh, it's really hard to have a 2 door. Like it's hard to get in the back seat. Like one day Josh and I were trying to get in the back seat of that thing, and it was like a clown car. It's just, it's not easy for 2 6-foot dudes to sit in the back of that thing.
I know. I saw from the outside, all you saw was like, rear ends for a while until you guys could get in the truck.
Pushing us in. Yeah. So like a 4-door is much more practical, even though the 2-door looks like an early Bronco. Here's a 2023 Bronco Raptor, 6,000 miles on it. Perfect shape, they said. So much fun to drive and priced right. It's $75,000, $76,000. Yeah, I mean, this thing is nearly new, and they even got one in the background for probably the same price. And this is like a used car lot kind of thing. So we're just looking on Facebook Marketplace. So who knows what this will sell for, but the fact that it's selling for $75,000 instead of 110 that we would see early on.
So this dealer's trying to get basically list for it.
Basically,
like a brand new truck. Even that's going to come down, I believe.
Oh yeah, totally. But then I found this as well. And this is a 2022 Big Bend for $25,000.
So a 2-door,
2022.
And it's not a base model.
12,000 miles. Now it does have some damage. This guy's definitely either wheeled it or
doors hit a rock.
Yeah, something. So that is, it's been used, it's been abused, but still, like, I feel like seeing a used Bronco for $25,000,
a Gen 6
is, I have not seen that before.
I've not seen anything under 38 or something like that. So look, the seat's in nice shape. So it doesn't look like it was rolled or anything. You just can't drive.
Yeah.
Basically.
I know. Like, I'm like, you've got rock sliders. So I don't know. Did he get into a door? Now, again, part of this is just your normal, like, new car prices coming down. Should you freak out? Oh my gosh, the Bronco's losing value. It's not worth it anymore. No, that's not like, I don't think that is what's happening. I think we saw such huge inflation on Bronco prices for so long on the new Bronco.
Yeah.
And now, yes, that is coming down. Paired with the first generation popularity is kind of easing up and coming down as well. So people are going, oh no, Broncos are just tanking.
But here's a real story. So my nephew came and visited me. He's a professional welder, so he can afford this. And I let him drive my Bronco. He was supposed to buy a pickup truck. A week later, he sends me a picture of his brand new 4-door Sasquatch that he bought. He liked the way it drove so much, and the 2.7 has plenty of power, so he knew he wanted that. And I think out the door, he was 63.
Okay.
So he paid retail plus whatever the dealer can get you for, extended warranty, wipers for life, or whatever it is. If you want the truck, they got you. The dealers are still making good money on these, but the used market, once it rolls off the lot, those are definitely coming down.
I think people are kind of looking at it and going, oh my gosh, like we're, sell all your Ford stock because Bronco prices are coming down.
The sky is falling. The dealer got me for all that stuff too. It's just like,
oh yeah.
My wife's like, don't you think we need the extended warranty? And I'm like, no, we don't need anything.
Yeah. Well, you got it.
She had to co-sign for me though, so we got it.
Yeah. So let me ask you this, Donnie. Why, in your opinion, would the 2024 Bronco prices be coming down? Why do you think people are saying the Bronco is coming down and it's not going to be doing well?
Well, I feel like that's Jeep people. But because I would still buy another one. I really love my truck. Yeah. And I did not expect to like it when I bought it. I bought it because I wanted to know about it and it would be good for what I do. But the reality is I've fallen in love with it. My wife's like, why haven't you sold it yet? I thought it was worth all this money.
Yeah,
You missed your opportunity to make a profit on it. Yeah. But, I think supply has something to do with it. Most of these trucks are still under warranty. So until we get past when 2021s are out of warranty, then I think we're going to see another price drop.
Yeah.
Because there's going to be a bunch of people that are either going to buy newer Broncos or they've had their fun with the Bronco and they're going to buy another car. So I feel like we've still got another big price change coming when the 3-year warranty's up or whatever the warranty is.
6-year warranty, yeah. 60,000.
I have a question for you though. Why don't you want to talk about the Bronco 2? Like the values of the Bronco 2. What is it you have against the Bronco 2?
Yeah, they're just, they're not increasing in price.
They're not going down.
They're not going down.
Up.
They're not coming up.
They're still
invisible. No one sees those.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. No, I would say there's a couple reasons why people are looking at the Bronco and saying, oh, it's not doing well. And I think one is powertrain options. Ford should have come out with a V8 by now that goes in the Bronco. We're looking at year 3 of, or going into year 4 of having the Bronco out on the market.
We still don't have a V8.
Right. Jeep has a V8.
What's the big one?
They have the Hemi.
That you can get a Hemi in a Jeep. It's like, come on, Ford.
And I think that's a big one. Like people who are holding out for that may have been like, well, it's probably never going to happen. I'll move on. Like, I think that's a big selling feature that they're missing out on, whether they'll admit it or not. I just think having a V8 is very appealing for a lot of people. I think the interior is a feature that there's a lot of things that I like about the Bronco interior, but there's a lot of little nuances that I don't feel like they have updated the interior since it came out. And there's a lot of things that I feel like could be better that just are still the same. When you sit in the Bronco interior, like the fact that the color of the interior, like the accent color, is based on your Bronco's, what is it? The trim package rather than the exterior of the vehicle.
It almost never matches the outside of the truck.
So you have a blue Bronco with orange accents inside and it's like, huh? Like, why is
mine's red with blue accents? Yeah, and most of them have orange, and the trucks are not orange.
Right. So there's stuff like that I feel like people are looking at it going, oh, well, they're never going to fix this. I'll find something else, that has. And I think, like, in all honesty, people still don't see Ford as a vehicle that holds its value, a vehicle that is going to last a long time. And so Toyota just came out with a new Land Cruiser, or the new 4Runner, and you got the new Land Cruiser. Like, I think people are now going, oh, like, this is a cool option. Like, I'll just go get the Land Cruiser or get the new 4Runner, and it's going to last longer than the Bronco. Will that happen? We have no idea. Toyota's not the same company that they were 20 years ago, 30 years ago, when, they had their vehicles that were lasting for 300, 400,000 miles. People still have that in their head. And so they're like, oh, the longevity of a Toyota is way better than a Bronco. Like, we've been involved with the Bronco for a long time. I've seen how much time and effort they put into longevity, and they put into trying to make the Bronco last. But it's a new vehicle that is going to have issues. We saw all the issues with the steering racks breaking, when the Bronco was coming out and people were first starting to wheel them. So now in the 2024 Bronco, there is the Haas 3.0 or 4.0 steering system in there. So, like, I feel like Ford is working at making it better. But I still think that there are some things in people's minds. The interior is probably a personal thing, but, like, I think there's still things in people's minds that are keeping them from getting over that hurdle to actually buy a Bronco.
Yeah. I've tried to break my steering rack, and you remember Chase Gentry tried to break the new rack. It says he can't break it. We were throwing my truck on its nose, and then in the interior, I'm going to support the new Broncos side because I'm going to stand by it. The other than, like, I still like the interior. I don't feel like they need to change anything, except for the grab handle is in a place where you can't lift yourself into the truck. Like, those two grab handles on the end of the dash look cool, but they don't help you get in the truck at all.
Yeah.
Like, could you put them anywhere else?
Yes.
Like maybe up high?
Yeah.
I agree. I think values are definitely coming down, and which makes them more affordable.
Yep.
Which means, more people are going to buy them, but we'll be curious to see what happens when the warranties are up and how that affects the price.
All right. So there you go. A little, Bronco prices in 2024. What do you guys think? Leave it in the comments below. I'd love to hear your thoughts. I'd love to hear how you disagree with Donnie on all of his points. All right, guys. Thank you so much for watching. We'll see you next time.